Ballplayers Evolution, and welcome back. This episode, we're going to tap more into the mental side and we're going to talk about visualization. First off, what is visualization? I don't want you to think you have to come up with some crazy definition for what this is. I want you to really make sure that you understand how to actually use visualization, how often you should do it, and what the heck are we talking about, right? So, the first thing is this. Before you even tap into like an exercise of visualizing or meditating, I want you to ask yourself the question, who is the player you're trying to be? Like really ask yourself that and write it down on paper and just write down all the details you want to see within yourself as a player. What kind of power do I want to get to as a player? What kind of speed do I want to have as a player? What's my identity as a player? What do I want to look like on the field or on the court or wherever I'm at? Well, what kind of attitude do I want to play with? What kind of mannerisms and body language do I want to have? What kind of confidence do I want to be able to show on the field? Because your body language and your movements, right, within your body are sending waves up to your mind of how we're going to act today. Okay, and so create the image first by putting words down on your computer or piece of paper, right? Notebook of how we're going to create this person one at a time, one trait at a time, one characteristic at a time, one skill at a time. Who is it that you want to be? You know, and I caution you to like not have to create this perfect player. Be a little bit realistic about it, right? Be realistic about what your strengths are, maybe what your weaknesses are. So, yeah, certainly where your weaknesses are, not a maybe, and acknowledge that, right? Go head on with your weakness this off season and say, you know what? I do kind of stink at this. I'm not very good at it right now. What am I going to do to improve this for next season? And you've got to address it. You've got to stop ignoring your weaknesses. But we create this image in our mind by putting pen on paper of, again, all the little details of the player you see yourself wanting to become. And now once you have that image. Now, what we're going to do is focus on that. Okay, we're going to focus on what it is that I want to become. You know, focus on the process of evolving. Okay, the process of evolving from point A to point B, or just we'll just say character A to character B. Everybody is character A right now. Okay, that's who you are. And character B is the guy you want to transform into through this evolving process. There's got to be this bridge that connects player A to player B. And it's the details and the actions of what you do on a daily basis that forms that bridge. Okay. And your actions follow your intentions. Meaning, if my intention is to be this player that I've already created in my head, right, with the things we just talked about, now your actions can follow. Your actions won't be able to follow if you start with actions. I want you to really think about that. And here's a real classic example. I'm gonna go do some sprints because I that's something I know I should do to work hard. And then this day I'm gonna go and yeah, maybe I'll do push-ups. Okay, I'll do some push-ups. That's a good thing. Yeah, I did that in gym class. And then another day, I'll go take some swings. Okay. And you're doing great things, right? You're doing things that are all going to help your game. But when you get into a pattern of just doing whatever, you're going to have times, you're going to have weeks and maybe months where you ignore things that you forgot about all along because you've never put it into a system or something to track. Okay. So this is totally related to you becoming the person you want to become. Because if you want to be the player you've created in your head of like the ideal version of you, the highest potential player that you are within your own playing style and your own identity, you've got to be able to put it into a system to track, and you've got to be a little bit more organized about how you're going to go through that process. Okay. So now you do that. You have a good off-season program and you figure out what you're going to do. And now You have a training session that you followed through that you did from Monday to Friday, let's just say, and you did all the things you need to do. And at the end of each day, you spend time visualizing and focusing on how you are proving to yourself you're becoming the player you set out to become. That's what we talk about when we say visualization. So, what you're actually going to do is you're going to spend, I would start with 5 minutes. We're going to start with 5 minutes. You're going to get into your own personal space where there's zero distractions. Let's say that's you in your room. Let's say it's you closing your eyes. Let's say there's no TV on. Let's say there's maybe relaxing music as long as it's not distracting. If it puts you into a state of mind where you can stay calm and start to focus better, more power to you, you can do that. If you're listening to music that actually distracts you, where you're thinking about the music and not thinking about the visualization process, then it probably wouldn't serve you. But it's not about the things you're doing, it's about the space you're trying to tap into when we talk about visualization. Okay, it's about the space you tap into where you are solely focused on what you see for yourself tomorrow, just one day at a time. Okay. You see what you're trying to accomplish tomorrow. Okay. You know through your program that you've set out, whether that's a program that you've done with me through the Bianco Blueprint and like being able to follow that, whether it's one you do on your own, whether it's with another coach, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Something that works for you. Okay, and you prove to yourself by just doing what's on the paper, doing what's on the paper, doing what's on the paper every day. That creates the lane and the path and the bridge to get there. Okay. I'll give you a couple of examples though, just so you understand. Okay, I had a good training session today. I went and my goal was to work on, let's say it was a strength training day. I wanted to get stronger in a particular area. So my visualization will start with what I actually did. Okay, so I'm closing my eyes and visualizing what are the things I did to improve today. And throughout that visualization of uh, within that, I've built up another level of confidence within myself because I did what it is I said I was going to do. So that's essential. And then I start visualizing how that's going to benefit me going forward, what I just did, right? And so let's use strength, right? I visualize that I did my training, I'm building up confidence and trust within myself now because I'm doing the things I said I was going to do. And I'm visualizing how now on the ball field as a baseball player or softball player that now, when I square a ball up and hit a line drive into the gap, that ball is going to carry further. I'm going to turn a single into a double more often. I'm going to turn a warning track hit into a home run more often. I'm giving myself the best chance now to take my game to the next level, to utilize the strengths that I'm working on to propel myself up to a further, to become a better player going forward. All right, and so it's the visualization of what actually is going to come from what you've done. Okay, I'm going to say that again. It's the visualization. Okay, so your mind's, your eyes are closed, you're in your space, you're totally focused on what it is that is going to come of the work you've done, right? And what this means going forward, how this is creating the bridge of the things that I'm working on. And again, now you see more of the future. Now you see more of the future of not just today or tomorrow. You see already yourself playing next season. You can visualize because everything I've done day after day, week after week now in my off season or wherever it may be, we'll just use this as an example. Oh, now I visualize myself 6 months from now crushing doubles in the gap. Something I didn't do this year because I wasn't strong enough yet or wasn't skilled enough yet to do that. But now I've worked on those things and I'm visualizing constantly that boom, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And to give you from my personal experience of what has made visualization the easiest for me as I start up my sessions, along with what I just showed you there, I start up my sessions with a previous experience that I've already done, proving to myself I am capable of this thing. So I look back on my best moments from the previous season or my whole career. Okay, I start, man, like my best hit of the season, all my home runs of the season, all my stolen bases, all my diving catches, all my great plays that I made, I start my visualization process with that. Because what happens, you start creating juices that flow within your body and your mind that excite you. And you use those experiences to recreate new ones. Okay, it's absolutely essential. You use those experiences to not only help create juices and and get you into a better mental state, okay? But you use that as evidence and proof that I have done these things. So I'm not only just making up a visualization of what I know I can do in the future, possibly. No, I've done these things. I've done these things. And so once I've proven to myself I've done these things and I tap into that space of remembering that's who I can be as a player, I then leverage that. Okay, listen to what I'm saying. I leverage that to then into to recreating that to become more evidence for my future. I know it can happen more often because I've proved that I've done it before, and I'm proving to myself every single day through my training that I'm going to now have a chance to make it even better than it was before. Now I take those experiences and realize that I can make them even better going forward because I'm continuing to evolve myself as a player by the work that I'm putting in. And that's the key. If you try to visualize when you're in the midst of not working, I don't find it very effective. Okay, that's very, very important. At least for me, it was. Okay, if I'm just spending a month of visualizing without working throughout the process, I'm not proving to myself that my visualizations can come to fruition, that my visualizations will become true. And I know I keep repeating that. That's very important. Okay. Everything is about building trust within yourself and proving to yourself along the way that you deserve this. You will earn this for this to happen. It's not just going to be mystical. You're not just going to be lucky, right? Luck doesn't happen. That's not the way I think of things. I think when you start thinking about luck and you start saying, "Oh, he's lucky," as soon as you start telling yourself somebody else is lucky, you're doing yourself a disservice. Okay, as soon as you start telling yourself that, it does nothing good for you except for put you into a state of feeling like, "Oh, I'm the unlucky one now." That's what you're doing. You don't even realize it. When you start telling yourself somebody else is lucky, you're telling yourself without deliberately saying it, you're creating a feeling that you're then unlucky. All right. And there's just so many, I've come to find there's so many layers into our actions that branch off and connect into the next action of what something is gonna of what's gonna happen that we don't realize it until it does happen. Okay. For example, um, you're a player that's always in a bad mood. Okay. You're a player that's always in a bad mood and you strike out and you get into the habit of acting negatively, throwing your equipment and lowering your energy level going forward, you know, how is that going to help you going forward? And not only that, do you realize how much it's negatively going to impact your performance going forward? Okay. Not only does it not help you, it is now, you are now taking a step down, two steps down compared to the energy you were just bringing the inning before. Okay. And so when you create habits that are the opposite of that, you create habits of being able to handle failure better, being able to have good energy regardless of what the score is. And you start tapping into that space, you create habits with everything else. Okay. And how does this relate to visualization? Well, when you create habits of positive thinking, or you create habits of negative thinking, or you create habits of something in the middle where you're neutral and even keel, you you know, you are setting up the stage for how you will visualize. Okay. Because you might be telling yourself, I'm a positive thinker, I'm a positive thinker, I'm a positive thinker. But when your actions keep stating otherwise, okay, that you chuck your equipment, you curse on the field, you're not a good teammate, you're not coachable, you don't listen to your coaches or look them in the eye when they're talking to you or trying to help you become a better player or teach you a lesson, on and on and on. There's so many different things. Those habits feed into your mind, that feeds into your visualization sessions. That's hard to shake. It's really hard to shake. And so, what are we doing at the end of the day? We're trying to rewire our mind to think about the things that align with the player you want to become. Okay? You're rewiring your mind, just meaning that you're making sure you're thinking the way you want to think. You have the thoughts in mind that are in alignment with the just the best player you want to become. Simple as that. Okay, because I don't think anybody here is visualizing that they're going to become a worse player compared to where they were now or in the right now today. Or um, we talked about from 8 point character A to character B, right? Character B is got to be somebody better than character A. But if that's going to happen, something needs to change for us to elevate ourselves to now be in alignment with character B. Think about that for a second and take that with you to your visualization sessions. So what is visualization? It's closing your eyes. It's getting into a space. It could be, you don't have to even close your eyes, to be honest with you. It's tapping into a space where you have one focus on what it is that you're trying to do, on what your intentions are going forward, building the bridge that leads to player B, which is your maxed out version of yourself. That's the best player you can be, and getting in alignment with that. This will not happen if your actions aren't in alignment with it, if your mental thoughts are not in alignment with it, if your visualizations are not in alignment with it, and if just the way that you operate and act and think on a daily basis, not here and there, on a daily basis, are on the same level as that. It's as simple as that. Simple as that, hard to do. Okay. Just because something's simple doesn't mean it's easy to be successful at it, right? It's a real simple concept that I have to hit a baseball in the middle with the middle of a barrel. It's very hard to do, right? And so the same applies here. But I'm going to wrap it up with that. That's what we're talking about when we say visualization. It's not rocket science, right? It's those things. It's starting to put it into action. And I'll finish with this. Try to visualize. If you don't visualize at all, try to do it 3 days a week. And try to do it 3 days a week for 10 minutes each time, 30 minutes a week. That's a starting point. If you do visualize and want to take it to a deeper level, do it 4 to 5 days a week. Maybe do it every day. I don't think you need to spend an hour visualizing. I think at a certain point you start to daydream and start getting off. Your mind can only stay focused on those things for a certain amount of time. I'd probably say max 30 minutes from my, that's just my opinion of it. Okay, max 30 minutes at one time, one sitting of going through that process. But it's about having the intention. All right, it's about having a purpose behind what it is you're trying to evolve yourself into.